Right, so this is a question about fair isle knitting and some tips and hints on how to do it. My first reaction with fair isle is probably to run a mile, although over the years it's not as bad as it used to be. My first experience of fair isle, I think it was probably when I was about 19. I was doing my mum a surprise top for a present. So most of it was done sat in my bed and hiding under the covers if she was coming up. So it wasn't probably the best place to be doing it. There was about 4 changes of colour, and at the time it was the first time I'd ever done fair isle. Lace was no problem at all, but I'd never done fair isle before. I had no idea about carrying threads across the back, how to do that in the best way. At the time my tension was so tight and no way that she would have been able to wear it afterwards. There was just no giving it whatsoever. But over the years my tension has loosened up, and as you do, you sort of learn a few tricks along the way. So this is the inside of this little hat. And if you notice, there's no long threads going across. The most I've carried it across is probably about 2 or 3 stitches. Most of it is every other stitch I've carried it across. For me, I find that works because I can keep the tension more even than if I was to do it longer. They recommend every 4 or 5 stitches. I wouldn't do it much longer because otherwise, see the loop there? Much longer and it's going to catch, and I find if it's longer you tend to pull it more. So that's the biggest thing, is to be aware of your tension so that you're not pulling it too tight. If you do have a problem with your tension, it might be worth going up a needle size to help with that. And the other thing is, when you're changing threads, changing colours, you don't want to have gaping holes, so you have to make sure you make sure it's twisting around each other as it's going along. So fair isle usually has pretty distinctive patterns for true fair isle. A lot of these sort of designs now are all being brought under the same umbrella. Obviously, the more colours you're going to use, the more danger you've got of getting knotted up. So just make sure that regularly that you're untwisting your stitches, balls of wool as well. So the advantage of it, and why it became so popular, was the fact that it gives you a double thickness for your garment. If you think for jumpers, for fair isle jumpers, with that extra layer behind, it's going to give added warmth. So now we just use it purely put sort of a decoration in things like this. So tips: keep it loose, make sure that you carry your threads across only sort of a few stitches at a time, don't take it any longer than sort of 4 or 5 stitches, and make sure that you're twisting it so you're not going to get any gaping holes. I will show you in the next video how I've done this, how I sort of carry the threads, the yarn across while I'm knitting.